Hello, it's your boy Mr. CV. I'm back with another special video. Also, I've got a vlog for you where I'm traveling to Oxford, which is where my former university was, which is Oxford Brookes. It's been a long time since I've been to Oxford actually, and last time I finished my university was back in 2016. Since then I've just been back and forth, but I've not really gone. This time I said let me just go and just see how Oxford is like. Listen, enjoy the rest of the video. So I started my journey by going through central London, which is actually quite tricky sometimes going to central London, because number one, there's a lot of traffic, and number two, you have to pay something called congestion charge, which has been increased to £15 per day. They are making a lot of money from that congestion charge. So if anyone sees Sadiq Khan, let him know that, listen, we are paying too much. But anyways, I passed through congestion zone, and that will take me straight to West London, and from West London it's just easier to just make your way to Oxford. I am not getting to the heart of West London. You can see a lot of the skyscraper buildings, and from there you can see that it's now showing that we're going past the sign to Heathrow, and then from there literally our journey to Oxford begins. It was smooth actually, but like I said, there's always traffic, and with the traffic it's quite tough because obviously there's no way of escaping the traffic, so you just have to wait patiently. Back on the road, and you can see the sign to Oxford, but also there are neighbouring places as well, such as Reading or High Wycombe. So High Wycombe comes before Oxford and Reading comes after Oxford. So I've never been to High Wycombe, but I have been to Reading, and also it's quite similar to Oxford, very uni student friendly place. But I'm not sure about High Wycombe at all. Like I said, worst happened, it started to rain, and as I kept on driving, the rain got very bad, that it got very heavy, and it was quite difficult to see. So I dislike when it rains, to be honest with you. You have to keep a distance between other cars just in case of anything. We're just about to get to Oxford. The reason how I know is because this rock on the side is just the rock that you see before you get to Oxford, and you can see now the rain has fully cleared now, or is getting clearer. We're back to a smooth journey again, and in the next few minutes or so we'll get to Oxford. As we're approaching Oxford, we're just going past a place called Wheatley. So Wheatley is a village near Oxford, and it's a place where it's quite a small place. Also, Oxford Brookes has a campus in Wheatley, and it's quite isolated there actually. So if you have a campus there, it can be quite boring actually. So I was quite lucky where I lived in Oxford. It was quite central to everything, so it wasn't too difficult. So we finally managed to make it to Oxford, and I can tell because already I'm on the slip road. We're off the motorway basically. We're just a bit out of the city centre of Oxford, and a bus is coming up which is called the Oxford Tube. This bus is actually very important because most people that come to Oxford by bus, they either take the X90 or the Oxford Tube. When I was coming for university, obviously I didn't drive at that time, so obviously I was taking the X90 or the Oxford Tube. I prefer the X90 actually because the X90 has Wi-Fi, and it's just more easier journey as well for me. But another thing about the Oxford Tube stops a lot more than the X90, so it stops in a lot of places such as the village that I mentioned, Wheatley, but X90 just literally does a straight journey. Now in Oxford, and the first part we're gonna pass is a hospital, which I forgot the name, but hopefully once we pass it I'll remember the name. And this hospital was quite important to me because when I had my knee injury, this was the hospital that had my operation done, and it's one of, I think it is the biggest hospital in Oxford. I can't see the name of the hospital from the video because it's quite hard to see, but if you're really that interested, I'm sure you can always check online and check the name of the hospital. Next part where I'm going to is my first hall, actually is my hall of residence, and this is called Paul Kent Hall. Now this hall is where I stayed for my first year, and I stayed upstairs. I can't remember the name of the room, but next to where the bus stop is, you can see that there's a park, and that's the park we used to play football, especially a lot of the boys that we lived in the same hall with. I actually quite enjoyed my first year actually, especially the first 6 months. As we are approaching my hall of residence, so you can see they've built some new buildings on the side. My hall of residence is the right hand side, the old building, but the new buildings, they wasn't there when I was there, so I'm not sure what they are. So it was quite good. So off to my next stop, which is Wamford Halls. So Wamford Halls is a place where I lived for my second and third year. So I could have lived in a house with people, but sometimes it's just too much hassle. It was just better to just get accommodation from the university. It just makes life a bit easier, and also it's cheaper as well. You live with random people, which is sometimes can be a bit tough because